Is Jimothy actually gay? How does it affect his relationship? And what did Jim write in the Teapot letter? We unravel this cold case on the Anti-Strangling Task Force. Jim's sexuality is brought into question a number of times throughout the series. What has often been seen as simply humor in motion actually has far greater implications to the Scranton Strangler Mystery. It helps us decode the Teapot letter. Homosexuality forms an incredibly strong motif throughout the series. We obviously find out that Oscar is gay, then we have the gay warehouse guy, and we also have the senator who is gay. But the homosexual motif is undeniably linked to Jim Halpert, and this is done via a number of methods, via scripting, camera framing, down to even explicit accusation. In the Bob Kazamakis Sex Investigation Squad overview, we covered one part of the Dunder Code, which is that any male who wears women's clothes is actually gay or at the very least bisexual. And we do see a number of male characters wear women's clothes throughout the series, with Jim Halpert's example being the most subtle. Jim wears Padge's warehouse uniform, and the creators likely had Karen pointed out to us, as they wanted to make sure we take notice of this. So accepting the Dunder Code around women's clothes, we do see Jim wear women's clothes, and therefore he must be gay or bisexual. When Bob Kazamakis has his pool party, he makes an inspiring speech about penises and vaginas, and be sure to pay attention to the camera framing in this moment.
You enter this room a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a judge, but beyond it you are simply a penis, a vagina, hunger, an ache.
So the word penis is paralleled with the word hunger, and vagina is paralleled with the word ache, with the camera focusing on Jim for hunger and Toby for ache. And the simple interpretation is Jim hungers for penis, Toby aches for vagina.
Beyond it you are simply a penis, a vagina, hunger, an ache. A hunger, an ache.
And in this particular case, it's a combination of camera framing and scripting that is making the inference that Jim is actually gay. One of the earliest hints towards his sexuality is when they're playing Desert Island and Who Would You Do?
Jim, you're next. Who would you do?
Kevin, hands down. Yeah. I mean, he's really got that teddy bear thing going on, and afterwards we could just watch bowling. You're all gay.
Jim ends up picking Kevin, and Roy ends up making fun of everyone, saying that they're all gay. So once again, the inference is made. Now, one thing worth mentioning is we did cover in the season 1 preview that Kevin is also actually gay, and we do see the Dunder Code applied to Kevin when he dresses as Phyllis. But even more interestingly is Kevin licks his lips when Jim picks him.
Afterwards we could just watch bowling.
And this is reminiscent of Pam licking her lips when she says she saw Michael naked.
And one time I walked in on him naked.
And this starts to form its own motif. I mean, a good example is in Prince Family Paper. Michael and Dwight are seen licking their lips.
Also, we're gonna need a signal to bolt out of there in case there is danger. Fine. And that signal is lick your lips. Try it. No, like this. Good.
During the fundraiser, Jim can clearly be seen to get jealous about Oscar and the senator. So much so that Jim has to go talk to the senator.
Okay, what was this look?
Whoa.
What happened? Did you do it?
Twice. For real?
Okay, guys, not every glance means something, all right? Life isn't Downton Abbey.
Life is Downton Abbey.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna talk to him, and I guarantee you he gives out his cell phone to everybody.
The senator ultimately gives Jim his number, and this time it's Pam who starts to tease Jim about being gay.
I just proved that he gives his cell out to everybody.
Or you prove that he thinks you're gay. He doesn't think Jim is gay. A gay man would not leave the house wearing those shoes.
Well, a gay man wouldn't leave the store wearing those shoes.
Oh, hey, you bought me these shoes.
So you can see, guys, the motif just continues to build. In Scranton Strangler Revealed Part 2, as well as a number of other analysis, we did discuss how Andy's character is used to symbolize Jim. And understanding this makes Jim's discussion with Andy in the episode Gossip particularly interesting.
You never try to set me up.
Oh, I don't really do that. But Pam might have some friends, though.
Women friends?
Yep.
Not guy friends.
Are you interested in her guy friends?
No. I mean, for the record, I prefer women.
Okay.
But off the record, I'm kind of confused.
Really?
Yeah, the evidence is sort of stacked against me, I feel like.
Well, you gotta figure this out.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
How?
You gotta have sex with a woman.
Righto.
And then a man. And then compare.
Oh.
So viewing this scene symbolically, what we're really being shown is that Jim is having a discussion with himself around his sexuality. He's questioning it and feeling confused. And ultimately, the conclusion he comes to is to have sex with a woman and then have sex with a man. And this conclusion or course of action is certainly gay, to say the least. These next two examples I've left till last because really they're the most important out of all of them. The first time we see Packer in the series, he asks Jim if he's still queer and then proceeds to tease Jim about his sexuality.
What's up, Halpert? Still queer?
In season 3, Packer is shocked that Jim is dating Karen. He says either this chick's a dude or Halpert got scared straight. And the final example is Creed thinking that Jim is gay.
So hey, I wanna set you up with my daughter.
Oh, I'm engaged to Pam.
I thought you were gay.
Then why would you want to set me up with your daughter?
So you can see, guys, there is a very strong motif around Jim actually being gay. And this is communicated via a number of different means, different scenes, different characters throughout the series. Now, as I've mentioned a number of times on this channel, every one of the Office motifs links back into the Scranton Strangler Mystery, and as such requires our attention and our interpretation. Now, the interpretation in this case is simple. Jimothy is gay. But if you've come this far in this episode, and certainly if you've seen the series a number of times, the first question that must come to mind is when? When exactly is Jim gay? I mean, we see him date Katie in season 1 and 2, then he tries to get it on with Pam, she rejects him, then he dates Karen, he breaks up with her, and then finally he gets with Pam. I mean, when exactly do we ever see Jim being gay? I mean, we could add to this the fact that Jim and Pam's relationship or their final union together is one of the main pillars or story arcs of the entire series. How do we fit the motif with what we see?
I would start at the beginning, but I think I need to go farther back.
The intro sequence, guys. Again, the intro sequence. We need to go further back before the documentary crew arrived to Dunder Mifflin. Jim was known by his colleagues as a homosexual man prior to the documentary crew arriving. And the evidence for this is actually Packer and Creed. Packer is obviously on the road, so the first time he's back in the office, which is the first time we see him, he goes straight into teasing Jim about his sexuality.
What's up, Halpert? Still queer?
Packer is clearly not aware that Jim has decided to turn straight. In his mind, Jim is still gay. And this doesn't really stop with Packer throughout the series. I mean, Packer somewhat offers to bang Jim's wife as well.
Halpert, you looking for someone to bang your wife?
Creed is also in the same boat. Throughout the series, we can clearly see that Creed is suffering from some sort of memory loss or dementia. So similarly, Creed has it in the back of his mind that Jim is actually gay.
So hey, I wanna set you up with my daughter.
Oh, I'm engaged to Pam.
I thought you were gay.
Then why would you want to set me up with your daughter?
Sure, that memory might be misfiring in that moment, but the memory still exists in Creed's mind. Michael is another good example of this.
Who are you dating? Pam. That's still going on?
The reason Michael asked this question is because he knows Pam is the office mattress and he knows that Jim is actually gay. And really, considering that most of the office likely knows that Jim is gay, nobody really thinks this relationship has the legs to go the distance. And this is what ultimately brings us to Pam. Pam also knows and remembers the gay version of Jimothy, and understanding this completely augments our understanding of their back and forth in the first few seasons of The Office. Her hesitance isn't just based on her conflicted feelings, it's based on the fact that she thought he was gay. She isn't sure if any of this is real. She's unsure of his true intentions and his true sexuality. Look how Pam looks at Jim the first time they kiss. There is a face of almost disbelief. Did this really just happen? And at this point you might be asking, why on earth would Pam consider a gay man for a relationship? To understand this, we need to know a little bit about Pam's childhood trauma, which is arguably one of the darkest and most disturbing elements of the Scranton Strangler mystery. Understanding her trauma doesn't just give us insight into why she'd considered Jim, it gives us her motive for being the second and true Scranton Strangler. And in this episode, we're just going to take a high-level look at that trauma. It's very sad, but Pam's mother brought her to work one day, with her line of work being prostitution, where she would be raped as a young girl. It would be an event that would ruin sex for her forever, but at the same time instill a psychological need for sexual affirmation, as her rapist berated her at the end of it, telling her how bad she was. Pam lost her virginity in the most darkest and disturbing of circumstances. But this girl would never be defeated. May Almighty God have mercy on her soul. A flame of an unquenchable fire was lit that day, a flame that will burn for all infinity, as the thick fog of vengeance cloaked the very ground on which she stood. A testament to the living and a testament to the dead. Her spirit unable to rest until the price of vengeance be paid in blood.
It's like sometimes some of you act like I don't even exist.
Pam has been with us for forever. Right, Pam?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I've been working with you forever. And ghosts. But just that one scene.
Have you seen a ghost?
Seen and banged.
Pay no attention to the spirits that haunt this hallowed ground. No! My wife does not believe in ghosts.
You know there's a ghost in this office.
Really?
A woman was murdered on this very floor in 1816. Hattie McGonigal. She was a prostitute.
Why was she in this building?
No, this whole place used to be a brothel. There was a tavern on the ground floor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't it? She was bludgeoned to death by the business end of a riding crop.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was gruesome. They say she walks these hallways. If you ever feel a tapping on your shoulder, that could be Hattie begging for her life. And it could mean that you're next.
It was this horrific event that created the Scranton Strangler. This is Pam's motive: revenge. Now, we are obviously going to cover all this in more detail, guys, but this is the reason that Pam is willing to entertain Jim as a possible husband or a partner. Pam's childhood trauma created this need for sexual affirmation that she is good in bed. She's not the office mattress because she likes sex. She hates it. But in her psychology, she has this need of affirmation, sexual affirmation. And there is no higher sexual affirmation than a woman having the goods to turn a gay man straight. This is what draws Pam to Jim, but it is a very dangerous scenario, primarily because it's all or nothing. If she has turned Jim straight, it is the ultimate satiation of her psychological needs. But if Jim were to turn gay again, then this would be the complete opposite, an absolute rejection of her sexually. From Pam's perspective, the stakes are incredibly high, and that's what ultimately draws Pam to a relationship with Jim, the potential to fully and wholly satiate her psychological needs. Her hesitation all relate to whether this is real. The entire back and forth is uncertainty about Jim's true intentions and his true sexuality. And this is what ultimately brings us to the teapot letter. Some fans still do believe that this letter was in the teapot. Not all fans, but a lot of fans still do think this. And really, this is a symptom of not paying attention. When Jim is putting the teapot gift together, we can clearly see him put the letter in the box. Jim's message to Pam was never inside the teapot. And ultimately, this destroys a lot of the assumptions around what happened at reception between Jim and Pam. Those who believe the letter was in the teapot believe it was taken out of the teapot when Jim and Pam were together at reception. And because they believe that, they believe the letter was never read. The way the creators did the cuts in editing is a classic misdirection. They open the teapot together, we cut away, we cut back, and it's on the desk. So the creators actually falsely lead the viewer to this conclusion. But it cannot be the case because we see it placed in the box. Now, in this episode, the letter being in the teapot is used as the primary justification for another false belief, which is that Pam didn't read the letter. Now, to be fair, there are two moments in the show that misdirect the viewer to this belief. The first is the teapot scene, and the second is in season 9 when Jim gives the letter back to Pam. Now, we're not going to focus on that scene in this episode, but we are going to negate the assumptions around that scene as well. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the Anti-Strangling Task Force on Patreon for exclusive episode analysis.